Hello everybody and welcome back to ZakIsCinema. Yes, welcome home everybody. If you find that you just have nobody that'll listen to you rank some of your least favorite movies and you're like, come on, I have a ranking to share to you and nobody's gonna listen, well, guess what? You could say thank you to ZakIsCinema right now because that's what I'm here for. I might not listen to you, but I'll try my hardest in hopes that you listen to me here, because that is exactly what we're going to be doing today now that we have each other. So please join us, please. I'm tired of asking, please. Today we're not going to be doing another movie review. We are actually going to be doing another ranking video. And if you just came from my top 5 favorite VHS segments from the VHS franchise, we are leading right into covering my bottom 5 least favorite VHS short film segments from our beloved VHS franchise. So this isn't going to be in-depth reviews. I have extensive coverage on this beautiful franchise, so check out those. But this list is not going to be in any particular order. I just got done watching the entire franchise for my very first time. Majority of these were my first time watches, so I'm not too caught up with the fandom per se. So I'm really not sure if my top 5 and bottom 5 are going to be hot takes. I'm not really sure where the fandom kind of lies here, but with this one, like I said, no particular order. I found it kind of difficult to choose a particular order since there's so many. These are just my bottom 5 that I hope I never have to watch again. So stick towards the end. If you came from my favorites, I may or may not have a little bonus extra one. I don't know. We'll see. I have it. Okay, just stay till the end, please. But yeah, let's jump into it here. Starting off with the first on the list here, we got Tuesday the 17th, which was in our very first VHS movie. Now this one started off kind of interesting, at least, where I enjoy that kind of cheesy camp slasher kind of vibe to a movie. You don't have to do a lot to get me invested or entertained. Just this one failed so miserably, where I was just not invested in the characters, the story, anything that this short really had to deliver. I think it's kind of a unique concept where these group of kids go into the woods. We get our stereotypical kind of douchebag characters, the hot girl and then the creepy weird girl we think is up to everything. And this girl's bringing them out to the middle of the woods, reveals something creepy happened here last year, and then all of a sudden you get this weird looking glitchy slasher character where I can't remember if it was like glitching in real life, but nonetheless it doesn't show up on camera. So that's why last year I guess police couldn't do anything because there was no footage, and even if there were footage, he doesn't really show up on camera. So it's unique enough, just I think it unfortunately removes any intensity because there's no stalking, there's no creeping or this creepy slasher villain around any corner, because as soon as the camera starts glitching, you're like, okay, well, he's right near here, and yep, there he is. So it's like their unique concept kind of also destroyed any tension or creepiness factor that this could have had. And even despite that, it's just full of over-the-top, cheesy, poorly written dialogue and just bad acting where I couldn't tell if it was on purpose or just this one was so low budget that they really didn't put in any effort to it. So I really dislike that about that. And it's revealed to us that this creepy girl, of course, was actually with her friends in the woods last year and was a part of that initial attack and is now coming back with a new group of friends to hopefully get some footage, and sets up these Home Alone traps in the middle of the woods to hopefully catch this guy and then get justice for her friends who passed away last year. And I guess that kind of makes sense, but at the same time, it's like one of the dumbest plans I've ever heard, where she comes with no backup, no weapons, just random traps kind of scattered throughout the woods. And then as soon as this glitchy guy starts showing up on camera, it's almost like her plan goes out the window, where she's just so scared and panicked and just kind of runs away and doesn't really feel very sure of her plan. And, you know, she dies at the end, of course, so it doesn't even work out. So this one to me, just dumb plan, bad acting, and just not very scary or interesting. And the plan she had really makes no sense, and the glitchy guy isn't that creepy or intimidating. So it's like a completely wasted concept where I think the original idea was probably a little bit more interesting than it than how it played out. So unfortunately here, I'm so sorry, we got to put Tuesday the 17th on my least favorite list. Next on my least favorite list, we are going to go with Dante the Great, which was on VHS Viral. Now, I knew going in that most people consider VHS Viral the worst out of the franchise, and I think I do agree. I think it's either for me between VHS Viral and VHS 99, if I'm being honest. So I kind of anticipated a lot of Viral, and maybe you'll even see some 99 on here, but people were not kidding when VHS Viral just almost feels like it's removed from the franchise, where it's the shortest one too. I think there's only 4 segments here, and one of those 4 is including the frame narrative. So it just kind of feels like half-baked ideas stretched out way too long to fill a feature-length runtime. But this one, you'll hear me say this a lot, great in concept, poor in execution, where it almost kind of starts off as this horror thriller idea version of a movie like The Prestige, where you get this very dedicated, obsessed magician that turns his life from nothing into something by finding this creepy cult-like cloak that he got, that I guess Houdini threw away because he was just so intimidated and scared by the power it had. And Dante the Great, he gets the cloak, and then it starts making him do some nefarious things where, again, almost with Tuesday the 17th, this one's just very over the top, poorly written, poorly acted, which just never helps any movie, but especially these shorts here. And there's just not much really going on with this, where it's telling us this magician guy is kind of creepy, and then turns out he is kind of creepy, and we find out that this magical cloak is almost possessing him and giving him these powers as long as he keeps feeding it, where he's going through all these magician assistant roles, and turns out he's just feeding the cloak with the magician assistants. So that, like, in concept, I guess is kind of creepy, but it just kind of comes off as a parody version of an evil Doctor Strange, where it's just so over the top and you really cannot take it seriously, especially with how low budget it gets. In the third act, when he is confronted by the SWAT team and his last assistant, he's yelling crazy cringy things like, "See, nothing up my sleeve," as he whips around his cloak, taking out guys, like a scene out of Rick and Morty when Rick uses his laboratory coat. Like, it's those ideas played out in real life, and it's just as over the top as I'm kind of making it sound. So I think one of the biggest insults to this one is it kind of just gets rid of its found footage angle, where we get this kind of documentary thing spliced in. None of that is interesting or well acted, but all the scenes with Dante, and especially the third act, it's almost like they're like, all right, we have no idea how to make this found footage. Why don't we just get our camera guy to like shake the camera? But I'm like, where is this? Who's recording this? Just like throws out the found footage angle. So there's no real twist here. There's nothing really creepy. The story isn't all there. And again, one of these concepts that's stretched out way too long, because VHS Viral only had like 3 shorts in it. So do not like this one. I gotta throw Dante the Great on here. Next on my least favorite, we're going to go with Bonestorm, again, which was on VHS Viral. Now, this one's kind of difficult for me to talk about because I know I didn't like it, but I truly struggle to really remember much about it, even with my notes kind of in front of me. I'm like, did that happen? I can't remember, but from what I can remember, we're following a VHS cliche of douchey skateboarding kids that I have no investment in, don't care about, and they treat everyone around them so shitty. And we're following these group of kids that nobody likes, and I forget the mechanism that makes them go out to this dried up reverie to kind of skate in, but they're going out of the city, going to this new place to skate and record some skating videos, and then all of a sudden these cult-like demon mummy people rise up. They're looking like they're out of Star Wars and Mad Max, and they just come to attack these kids. And then all of a sudden, these guys turn into John Wick trainees where they're taking out these demons with the skateboard. At one point, I think one or two of the characters pulls out a gun and is just shooting these demons. And I'm like, what is going on? There's nothing interesting about the demons or that cult or religion or whatever is attacking them. There's nothing I'm invested in here, so they're just empty supernatural vessels to just give our characters something to beat the shit out of and shoot. And I think that's also the biggest issue, is that I don't think it ends happy, where it just kind of resolves. I think some of the kids die, but some of them are left alive, and it just cuts off, and it's like the director just kind of gave up because he knew what he was making. But I think the biggest issue is how easy these kids take out these cult-like demon members, where you just made them not intimidating. You made the characters way too overpowered and prepared for a situation like this, and it's not scary because I'm not feeling anything for anybody in this short. And it's just kind of boring because there's no story, no plot, no reason to really be following these characters other than they're holding a camera and we're watching VHS. So completely unmemorable. If one sticks out to me here in the entire franchise as unmemorable, I gotta go with Bonestorm, unfortunately. So had to make my list of my least favorite. Next on my list, we're going to be talking about The Gawkers, which was on VHS 99. Now, I'll be upfront, I'll be honest, a large reason this one specifically is on my least favorite is because for whatever reason, I still want to talk to the directors of why they chose this short as the frame narrative for VHS 99, where 99 started off and we get these intercut frame narrative segments of this kid or teen doing a stop motion animation kind of short with his army figures and his toy figures. And I'm like, oh, that's sweet. I wonder where this is going. I feel like they're gonna have some like dark, fucked up thing of a kid playing with his toys, and we're just seeing him play with his toys. So I wonder what's gonna get revealed later on. But then nothing's revealed to us later on, because I believe, unless I'm misunderstanding, it's the nerdy kid in this group of friends, one of the brothers who is in this group of friends, and it's just homemade movie segments of him staying home alone playing with his toys, and then we catch up with him later in the Gawkers short. So it just felt like a waste of time. There was no point or reason to have that as the frame narrative, because it's not a frame narrative. It's literally like the directors or producers here, Shudder or somebody, was like, you forgot the frame narrative. You got any like extra footage you didn't use? And then they just threw that in there. So I hate this short for this. And again, it kind of plays around with that VHS cliche here that I discussed a lot in my reviews, of just following these group of boys where they're so unlikable, and you just want to see all of them die. They're only talking about women jerking off and fucking anything. And for the first 20-30%, they're just creeping on their hot neighbor girl, which I don't blame them, but like, Jesus, like that's their whole personality. That's all they discuss. So I'm not invested here. I just want to see them die. So I don't have any intensity or want to see these characters make it out or see what happens. They do something crazy where they make their nerdy brother, who was directing the frame narrative, that piece of shit. I guess he got what he kind of deserved. They make him install some spyware in the hot neighbor's camera or her MacBook or something, or her computer, and then they're spying on her. They see her undress, get naked, and then she slowly rips off her wig, and then it's revealed she's Medusa, which was crazy. I like seeing Medusa fly over and take these boys out, but that's essentially it, where it doesn't really matter that it's Medusa. It could have been whatever, because I just want to see these boys taken out, and she comes over, rips them up pretty gnarly, but it's stuff we've seen. She's turned some of them into stone, but if you're gonna have Medusa in here, I figured you want to spend a large chunk of that on Medusa and her kind of day-to-day almost. I feel like there's a more interesting short here where maybe they go into the home and see things that don't add up and kind of like spy on her because they think she's hot, but they also think something's up, and it's slowly revealed. Like, I felt like there was a good idea in here, just they did the kind of basic thing where a group of horny guys spy on a girl and the girl is Medusa and she's evil and she's going to kill them. It's like Amateur Night with no visual style, directing style, no kind of interesting, creepy concept where it just kind of plays out very cliche, and the Medusa CGI does not look the best. So unfortunately, we got to go the Gawkers, and most of that is because it's the frame narrative. I'm being honest. And lastly here, or is it? I don't know. I'll let you know in a second. Lastly here, we got TKNOGD from VHS 85, and it kind of breaks my heart because I still can't decide if I like VHS 85 or Halloween more. I think I'm leaning more towards 85. I don't know. I guess I'll let somebody know when I figure it out, but it hurts my heart to have a segment from VHS 85 on this list, but my God, did this one really stand out. Like, VHS 85 would be easily top tier for me if they just remove this one. And again, interesting concept with just the lamest execution, where we get this perspective of what VR might look like in the future, but from the perspective of someone in the mid to late 80s here. And they're talking about VR, but it's discussed and performed to us by a literal slam poetry performance artist, where she's almost giving a performance and a TED talk at the same time. She is audibly gawking and yelling and moaning into the microphone mid-performance, rambling on about religion and technology becoming our new god. So just screaming every theme and message to us, like we can't put it together what you're trying to say to us. And I guess that would be fine if they did something interesting in the VR world, but the VR world literally looks like 80s Tron movie, where it's just like, okay, this is not very interesting. It's very dated. Obviously it's dated, whatever, but she is walking around in there, it was still moaning in her performance, and then talking about religion, and sees this just god-awful computer rendered 80s VR version of a demon in VR, and it looks as goofy as I'm saying it. I've seen better quality from crazy mods in VR chat, so it's just like, it's just nothing creepy or interesting, and this god in the VR starts ripping her VR character apart, but then she's getting ripped apart in real life. So that slight little concept there is interesting, because I felt like, I think I said this in my review, where I think the concept is a cool idea, but you could have done something way more interesting, where maybe you get a guy that is obsessed with VR and what it could become, so he wants to take advantage of it now and almost like creates his own society and religion, and then has that society and religion literally turn on him and bleed into the real world. So I don't know why they chose the mechanism of a slam poetry artist to deliver this to us. I don't know who was thinking with that one, but it unfortunately stands out so much because VHS 85, I love everything surrounding it, that this one is just not creepy or interesting. It's just kind of cringy and uncomfortable. I guess that's the nice thing about these VHS movies. You could watch all of them in a day if you skip the ones you don't like. So I'm sorry, but I gotta put TKNOGD from 85 on here. And we do have an extra one. Again, these are in no particular order, but I had a couple. I'm like, yeah, I could put them on here, but did I hate it that bad, or was it just like fine? But then I remembered one from VHS 2 where I'm like, nope, I hated that one. I gotta throw that one on here. So from VHS 2, we got Slumber Party, Alien Abduction. And again, interesting in concept, bad and disappointing in execution, where I think beyond on, segments of it showed that you could do some interesting, cool things with found footage and aliens. You can make aliens creepy, and it started off with these kids home alone doing a crazy wild kids sleepover where aliens were coming that night. So that's an interesting, fun, kind of silly premise where you could have a lot of cool, exciting things and have this family or group of friends come together to battle the aliens and found footage style. Like, the idea was right there, guys. Instead, the first 20% is just a bunch of weird, kind of uncomfortable sexual jokes with these young kids, and then the teenage sisters and other friends that are there home alone, where these group of kids like convince this poor little brother to walk in on his sister and her boyfriend like having sex, and they're recording it, and even the brother's like laughing. I'm like, that's kind of weird. That's a little weird. That's your sister, dude. Like, I get your friends maybe doing it to fuck with you, but why are you there, bro? Why? Come talk to ZakIsCinema. What's wrong? And then as we're meandering still, I guess as revenge, the boyfriend and the sister sneak down as the kids are sleeping and are recording one of these kids that are in a room full of sleeping bags with his friends. He's watching porn on the TV and jerking off, and then they wake everybody off to laugh at this kid jerking off. And I'm like, guys, this is weird. Like, why'd you go so sexual with it, VHS 2? That's uncomfortable. But then besides that, it just made me not care about anybody. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll forgive the weird sexual stuff. I'll pretend I didn't just see that. But maybe there's some conflict here between brother and sister and friend group. Maybe they're going to come together and battle aliens in a couple minutes. But that doesn't really happen. The aliens come. The design's kind of cool, but they're essentially just zombies walking and running at these kids. And halfway through, they decide to put the camera on the dog, which could be an interesting angle. I think it could be interesting for about 2 to 3 minutes, but they put the camera on the dog, and half the time the hair and the ears are covering half the thing. So I get that maybe it was for the special effects to make it, hidden a little bit more, make it easier to kind of show a little bit more since some of it was hidden. But it's just such a jarring angle when you got this dog running around shaking. I don't get motion sickness with some of these, but this one I just kind of felt sick watching it, so did not like it. And it just kind of wraps up in a lame way where I believe all the kids die except the sister and brother. And actually, now talking about it out loud, I think all of them die, and then at one point the aliens grab the dog, and then I think either the dog or the camera falls down like in Amateur Night. So just repeating things we just saw the year before. So this one could have been so cool, a sleepover that has an alien abduction in the middle of it. That's a fun concept, and they just chose to not have fun with it. So I had to put on here, I'm so sorry, but Slumber Party Alien Abduction, you belong on ZakIsCinema's list here. But you guys have my list of my least favorite VHS segments, all 6 now from the franchise, again in no particular order. But I feel like a weight has lifted off of ZakIsCinema here, where I promised all these videos before Halloween. I overpromised, but hope some of you guys checked this out and enjoyed these here. Like I said, very new to the franchise, so I'm not sure if some of these are hot takes or if these are pretty agreed upon, but please let me know some of your personal least favorite shorts that maybe started off good for you and just kind of blew it, or ones that you absolutely hate. Do you agree with my list? Do you not agree with my list? I'd love to hear all your thoughts and feelings on the worst that this franchise has to offer here. But guys, we have finished with the VHS franchise. If you want, throw me some suggestions. I've been enjoying found footage recently, so I think I might stick with that. Let me know about franchises or videos you'd kind of like to see in the future, or if people are interested in found footage. And hopefully I'm not the only one, but let me know all that information down below. I appreciate you guys watching so much, so thanks again. And yeah, look forward to more ZakIsCinema coming very soon.